This is the Coming Home podcast with John Allen. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and welcome everybody to this episode of the Coming Home podcast with John Allen. There's a little hooping and a little hollering here between the two of us, but we're on this episode now. I'm speaking with England Brooks. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, all things considered. And you?
I'm doing great. I was telling you before we went on the air here. I was just sitting on Spotify listening to a couple of your songs. I had meant to go through and listen to your catalog yesterday, and I just didn't get to it. So I started doing it here.
I have a catalog.
Should I start? Should I start?
No.
So I want to start off with that. I want my listeners to know that you are a fantastic vocalist. I love your voice. You have that, and it's also with the type of music I was listening to. This was these are some jazz numbers, and you have that smoky. You just have that smokiness to your voice, and it's very pleasant to listen to.
Yeah, I need to stop smoking. Those cigarettes are really not good for you. But listen,
if the cigarettes are making you sing like that, keep smoking.
Yeah, it's interesting that you use that terminology, smoking, because when I was growing up, I used to make music with a friend of mine named Rodney Friend, and he used to call me Sandpaper Woman.
Uh-huh.
He said, you sound like you got some air and some sand. I didn't know if to take that as a compliment or what. But thank you so much, John.
Great voice. I could hear us. I hear a duet in our future.
I actually listened to a single of yours that I fell in love with, and the first thing I thought was, our voices are similar.
I think so.
And I would love to do a duet with you.
Well, that is a compliment to me, so thank you. And we're just going to have to make it happen. We're just going to do it.
Yeah. It's a song.
We're just going to do it. Now, my audience is split roughly 50%, a little less than 50% Norwegians, 40-some% American listeners, and then the rest of the spectrum is kind of spread out through different nations. But You are yet another American living in Norway that I'm speaking with on my podcast. I want to start off by asking you, let my listeners learn about you as I learn about you, because you and I have had a couple, 3 telephone conversations, but we don't know each other beyond that. Yeah, so I'm truly getting to know you. I've heard about you, but I don't know you. What brought you to Norway and when?
Well, I actually met my ex-husband on the internet by accident, but I thought it was a horoscope chart maker.
Okay.
And long story short, I wrote to him and said, hey, this place says that we're a perfect match, and we can be pen pals if you like. He was living in Norway. I was living in the United States. And the next day I came home from work, and there was a reply that was more than 3 sentences. I mean, it was a whole page. To be exact. And I thought, a man that writes. Now, that's a plus.
That's a plus. Yeah.
And we talked every day for about 3 months, and we decided that we would meet. And we actually did. And
so did he come to you, or did you go to him?
No, I flew to Norway. Something told me to just give up my job, my apartment, sell my car, give my things to my friends who needed them. And I got on a plane and just not really knowing how far I was going, but
wow.
I got there to Gardermoen, and he was there, and it was like meeting a friend from 30 years, friend I hadn't seen in 30 years. So we're still friends today.
So you literally dropped everything and made the move.
I did. My heart, my gut, everything said go.
Wow.
And not to be disrespectful to him at all, but the perfect match was Bodø.
The city of Bodø, in Norway. For those who aren't from Norway.
Baby, I love Bodø.
Well, you know what? So do I. I've been there very often. It's been a while now, but for a period of years when I was living up north as well, I was in Bodø a lot for business stuff. It was, I don't know, there's something about, I say this to my wife all the time. When I talk to people from Bodø, part of it is the dialect, of Norwegian that they speak, but there's also something in their personality, something in their character that just makes them seem so happy.
Well, I must admit, when I first came here, I landed in Mysen.
Aha, yep.
And I'm not going to talk negative about Mysen, but it just wasn't for me.
No, it's a different set of people.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, and I need the ocean. I come from Los Angeles, California, borderline Compton. And I went to the Compton School District, straight out of Compton.
Straight out of Compton.
And, oh, yeah.
Straight out of Compton to Norway. I love it.
Well, actually, when I came to Norway, I had left California and I was living in Spokane, Washington.
Okay, yes.
And had planned to move to Alaska. But then 9/11 hit. And I said, I'm not going further away from my family until I find out what's going on in the world.
Why Alaska?
It was a good thing.
Why were you thinking about Alaska?
Because I'm a dialysis technician by profession.
Okay.
And they were opening, the company I work for, they were opening a new unit in Alaska. And so they said, do you want to go check it out? And I said, sure. And I was going to go and help them open up a new unit. But then when 9/11 struck, I said, I'm not going anywhere until I know what the state of the world is going to be after this. And then I ended up getting an old iMac, and I went online and thought I was getting a horoscope site, and the rest of you just heard.
So
I ended up in Norway.
So there's a bit of an adventurer in you. You were ready to move from Compton to Alaska. Now that's a big jump. And okay, so that didn't work out. And then almost at the drop of a hat, you pick up and you come to Norway. So am I right that there's something of an adventurous spirit that you have?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not afraid of a lot of things. I think there is an adventure. And I was born November 21st, and if we want to get a little astrological here.
Yeah.
I was born right on the cusp, so I could have fallen into Sagittarius, which is an adventure. The horse, half man, human. But I think what happened is the moon was in Cancer when I was born. And so it pulled me back on into Scorpio and gave me all that sensitivity because I am a big crybaby.
Are you really?
I'm very emotional, and I'm a feeler. So I can feel, if you're angry, I can feel it in my bones. And if you're, I just feel.
Okay.
I think the word is empath.
Empath, yeah, you have empathy. You're an empath, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm very, very. Yeah, it's not cool actually.
But
it's not a good feeling.
Does that cover the entire spectrum of emotions? You mentioned that you'll feel if someone is angry, but do you feel if someone is sad, hurting?
Yes.
Happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And happy. And I think that might be why I don't pride myself on it, but life throws enough shit at you that you don't ask for.
That's quite true.
So why invite it into your life?
Yeah.
So I'm all about. My mother raised her. I have a sister named Perry, and a brother named Rome, and he passed away last year.
Oh.
But the point is, my mother raised us in a way. She said the golden rule. She said, "Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you." So I grew up with the golden rule. I knew nothing about the color of a person's skin.
Right.
You're a human being. You're not looking like an alien. So you're human, and your skin color is for whatever reason. You're either a good person or a bad person.
That mirrors. That's all I know. That's how I was raised. That's part of who I am. I take people at face value, regardless of color. I got accused for a while, and this was something I had to struggle with on as far as how to react or whether to react to it. But I got accused of being anti-white. Yeah, that podcast episode that I sent you, where I was talking about at that time the current political and social situation in America, and a lot of people took issue with that. On both the positive and the negative side, but on the negative side, there were people who were saying, and not necessarily just because of that podcast episode, but because of my social media activity, I was bringing up the situation where, during the summer, late spring and summer of this year, there were a lot of protests back home in the streets of America.
Yeah.
And my thing was that I thought, of course, there was a lot of anxiety about those protests, because of the subject matter, because of what they were protesting. But my whole angle on it was what I thought was a positive angle, because I thought it was beautiful to see that there were not just, as you and I call them now, chocolate people. We don't say black and white. There wasn't just chocolate folks in the streets protesting the situation. It was a broad spectrum. And in fact, on a lot of the protests that I saw, most of the protesters were vanilla. And I thought that was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, vanilla and caramel.
Yes, and I thought it was a beautiful thing because that's showing a unity, a new awareness,
solidarity.
A new solidarity, and I thought it was beautiful. But what some people were hearing and seeing was white people, white. But they didn't listen to the rest of the sentence. White people are with us. We appreciate the solidarity. We appreciate the new allies. And it seemed like some people, they just didn't want to hear that conversation, so they took it in a negative light. I struggled with how to deal with that. I really did.
Yeah. And, I'm glad you're bringing this up. I'm not very political, so I don't speak too much on it. But, when I saw people getting offended, especially the vanilla people, I surrounded myself with vanilla people. I love people.
So
like I said, you're either good or bad. And when I saw the vanilla people, vanilla people, when they saw BLM or heard Black Lives Matter, they immediately got offended.
Yes.
In my opinion, I know that came up just like that, but I would have rather it had been BLAM, BLAM, which means Black Lives also matter. And then maybe the vanilla people wouldn't have attacked and been offended so quickly to think that we're saying that only Black Lives Matter. That's not the message.
Right. And let me say this. I'm not very political either. In fact, when I talk about all of these things that have been happening, I look at it from the social end of things. I'm not a political pundit. I don't know how to I consider myself informed, but I'm not so informed to the point where I can consider myself a political commentator or a political pundit. I'm looking at it from the humanity side of things. I'm looking at it from the social side of things. And I don't look at the BLM movement or that whole situation as political. People have turned it political, but I look at it as social. But I think
it's right.
Just to say, kind of in conclusion from my end anyway, the BLM movement is a beautiful thing. However, they have really messed up the messaging.
Yes.
They have. They're not doing a very good job. Yeah. Well, it's been taken wrong because I don't think that the movement leaders are presenting it properly.
Unfortunately. There it is.
Unfortunately.
Like I said, blam, baby, blam.
Blam would have been.
And you know what? Blam just says it. Blam.
Yeah.
There's something going on and it's not right. Blam.
Do I hear a new movement in Norway?
I have it in me because I'm all about like you. I'm about humanity. It's just being a good human being.
And that comes from our upbringing. It sounds like you're looking at it almost exactly the same way I am.
Yeah. Because bigotry. I don't even use the word racist because how are you a racist if we're all human? Now, when an alien comes down here and walks among us and looks all weird, now we can talk about a different race. But there's only one race, and that's the human race.
That's a good way of looking at it. I choose the word.
I'd rather say bigotry. You're a bigot. You're just because that bigotry is passed down through generations. If you have a chocolate baby and a vanilla baby and they grow up together, they don't think about uh, anything evil.
No.
They don't. The baby's not going to think he's better than the chocolate baby, and the chocolate baby's not going to think he's better than the vanilla baby. But it's the parenting, and you have years and years of generations of children watching their parents. That's why I say it's very important that when you have kids, that you're really responsible, because they're watching. I smoke cigarettes because I wanted to be like my mom.
Okay, yeah.
You know, so that's taught. They hear, vanilla kids may hear their parents say, oh, those, and I'm going to say the word because I'm bold enough to do it, those niggers, blah, 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 and black people, blah, blah, blah. They see it, they hear it, and then they start feeling like that's the way it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But thank God that we've got some people that think for themselves and feel for themselves, and they're trying to tell their parents, you're wrong. That's not right.
Has your views on that subject matter changed any since you've been here in Norway?
Not at all.
Do you feel like you've been treated differently here in Norway because you have a different skin color?
No.
Do you think you've been treated differently here in Norway because of your Americanness?
Treated differently? Are you talking about treated badly?
No, just differently. Because no, I can tell you, I can say from my experience, I have not exclusively, but I have felt that I've actually been treated better, or my otherness here in Norway has opened some doors. So I'm not looking at it from necessarily a negative angle. You know, just different. Period. Have you been treated differently? Period. Or has
I'll just say this. I love where I live. I love Norway. I love Bodø especially. I feel like they welcomed me with open arms.
Yeah.
And I don't feel different, actually, except when it comes to the language.
Now,
jeg kan snakke norsk, men jeg ikke forstår så mye når du snakker tilbake med.
Okay. Well, okay. Now, in your life as an artist, do you speak mostly English or mostly Norwegian?
I want to say this in Norwegian. Jeg uttrykker meg selv best på engelsk.
And for the non-Norwegian speaker, she said she expresses herself best in English.
That's correct.
So,
look at you.
Oh yeah. I'm.
Yeah. You've been here a long time. Much longer than me.
Not too much long. I've been here since 2002. So.
Oh. Okay. And I've been here since 2004.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
You know,
you have children.
Yes, I do. Me and Snoopy have two.
Okay, and that helps.
Well, no. Well, it helps in a lot of things, but when it comes to the language, it's actually kind of irrelevant, because at home, I speak only English.
Yeah, but wait a minute now. Well, then how did you get so fluent? How did you get so fluent?
Brain power, sweetheart. No, no.
What are you saying? I don't have a brain. And my brain's not working properly.
And there it comes. I was trying to figure out how to tell you that. No.
It might be right.
No, I do have a thing with languages. Now, I've forgotten almost all of my Spanish, but there was a time in the States I was fluent in Spanish. From high school all the way up until I was finished with my service in the United States Marine. So there was like a 20-year period where I was speaking fluent Spanish. And then while I was in the Marines, I was on Okinawa, Japan, and I learned Japanese.
Oh,
I never learned how to write it. I gave up trying to write Japanese after a few days. I couldn't grasp the concept of their written language, but I was able to speak Japanese. So then what I found out is when I came here to Norway, the more Norwegian I learned, the less of, actually by the time I came here, I had pretty much forgotten all of my Japanese. I could understand it if I heard it spoken on TV, on a movie or something like that. But my speaking skills were pretty much gone by then. But what I found out, my Spanish was still in place, but the more Norwegian I learned, the less Spanish I could remember.
Yeah.
But I do have a thing for languages. I pick them up very quickly. I learned Norwegian. I was able to converse and understand after a couple of months.
Oh, there you go, bragging.
I'm sorry.
I'm still struggling.
But I
find that most of my friends, they wanted to speak English. And I let them so that I could understand, because I like to consider myself a good communicator.
Yes.
But no, it's too many. It's too odd. The language is very odd.
It is. There's something, I think it's exotic. I think it sounds like music to my ears, especially, well, almost exclusively the northern dialects, because when I first came to Norway, I started out here down south. We lived with Snoopy's parents, and they were living in, here in the southeast Norway, outside of Drammen. But then after a few years, we moved up north, and I actually began, even though we were living down south, I began with the northern dialect because her father was Samisk from Finnmark.
Oh,
so being around him is what taught me that dialect. So I learned that dialect down here, and then it just got more cemented when I was up north. And I just think it sounds beautiful. I love it. I think it's...
See, I like the southern Norway. I do like the
really?
I like bookmark. I like the I like it.
Oh, England. Okay, well, hey, different strokes. We all have different ears. To me, it sounds more musical. I hear more of the da-da-da-da-da up north. More of that musical type of thing in their language. But I don't know, different ears. Different ears.
I just do the best I can. That's the bottom line. And it's going. I've been here 16 years, and I'm still here.
You're still here, still enjoying it.
Still here, yeah. Very much.
How long have you been singing?
Actually, they say I came out humming, but I actually started singing around the age of 4 in a children's choir called the United Nations Children's Choir in Long Beach, California. And I represented Nigeria. And my sister, Paris, represented the Congo. And I think my brother, Rome, actually represented a nation, but I don't remember it. My sister might. And we were in that choir for about 3 years or so, and that's where I met Bing Crosby.
You met Bing Crosby?
I met Bing Crosby and sang with him on a Christmas concert.
Wow.
So that was like a highlight of my life. And
yeah, because that's not a common, you hear people say, I met so-and-so, but to hear someone say they met Bing Crosby, you don't hear that too often. That's different.
I'm telling you.
That's different.
It was amazing.
Wow.
And maybe that had something to do with why I like the style of that era and the songs that I do enjoy singing.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
They were crooners. They were true crooners back then.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I can appreciate those crooners because, as you say, they were really singing. And, of course, there's a lot of talented singers out there today. But what is accepted now that wasn't accepted maybe just 15 years ago is this non-singing type of thing where people are, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be a musical elitist because I believe people should be able to express themselves musically in whatever way they're allowed. But there is this thing that it's more of a non-singing type of thing. You don't have to have a quote, good voice to be able to sing. Whereas back then you had to sing clean as to put it that way. You had to hit the notes. You had to know how to harmonize. The voice was very much an instrument back then.
And you needed to be able to tell the story. And that's why I don't consider myself a singer. I consider myself a storyteller with music underneath. Because I know singers that can just, riff and run and hit notes. I'm not that person. I just really want to tell you a story. You and have music underneath.
Well, you nailed it right there. That is a very good self-description because thinking back over the couple of songs that I've heard of you so far, like I said, you have this very laid back, relaxed. I mean, as soon as I heard you start singing, I was like, okay. And you just breathe, the listener breathes out and I'm right there in the moment and I'm listening to what you're singing.
Oh, John Reese, thank you.
Hey, I'm just, I'm a music lover. So when I hear something I like, I'm going to shout it to the mountaintops. so there you go.
Amen.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you
there's a lot of talent here in Bodø, and I like working with the young people. Just before you called, I was talking to a young artist named Amelia. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I just call her M. And she's about to release something amazing. I mean, her voice. She's not only a singer; she's a singer-storyteller.
You need to get me you need to get me hip to that. Send me a link or something when it comes out.
I will. I promise you. She's, I think, maybe 20.
Okay.
Maybe 20, 21, no older than that. And her voice is like, it's like been touched by the creator himself.
I love it.
Or herself. Or the creator, that energy that created everything.
I love it. I love it.
I don't want to get too political or I'm very spiritual and I'm not religious at all.
And there is a difference.
Yes,
but let me tell you this, if we start talking about anything political, if we start talking about spiritual things or religious things, whatever, everything is open. Everything is on the table on this podcast. Believe me.
Okay.
I've had guests and we have talked about, I had a guy on here who is a Taoist, which is a branch of Buddhism. And I had this brother on for a 4-hour podcast episode. We were sitting outside. This was earlier in the summer. It was a beautiful day. We sat outside on my porch and did that episode. It took us 4 hours and we just talked. And I don't have anything to do with Taoism, but the conversation was there. The interest was there. The dialogue was there.
Very interesting. Yeah,
so I tell people it's open season. We can talk about whatever comes to mind.
If we all felt that way, we can. It's a cliche. We can all agree to disagree. Just because I don't believe, my mother let the Jehovah's Witnesses in. She let the Seventh-day Adventists. We talked, and I think it was so that we could decide on our own which way we wanted to go. So she exposed us to a lot of things. And if you don't believe what I believe, that's all right. Just don't come at me with no gun or knife to try to kill me because you're thinking different.
Well, I tell you, it's a beautiful thing to see people who understand the power and the comfort and the calming effect of dialogue.
Yes.
And that's regardless of viewpoint. I don't care if you agree with me or not. I enjoy the dialogue. I will always get something out of and give something back during a dialogue. But it seems like something has happened to where dialogue is almost nothing of consequence for a lot of people. It's a little sad to see that happening.
Yeah. Well,
but you're a talker as well as a listener. I can see that.
I have to. Of course, I'm gonna let you talk. But yes, I can talk and I can be quiet.
But you let me talk, but I'm not allowed to call you. What did you tell me not to call you? I can't call you Miss England because
don't you dare.
Puts us back on the. What'd you say? We got to get off the plantation. Stop calling you Miss England.
Yes,
plantation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, no, I'm Miss England.
Hey, I never called you ma'am. I never said ma'am. I just said Miss.
No. I'm just adding that.
That's a warning, right? Stay away from ma'am.
Well, it's a funny thing. When people feel close enough to me, they call me Ing. I don't tell them to.
They just do it.
I never say, call me Ing. But suddenly they feel comfortable, or I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden it's, hey, Ing. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Now, you had a performance last night. How'd that go?
Oh, it was really, really nice. We had a really great time. Berg Gospel Choir. They are out of Berg i Vesterålen.
Yeah.
We were in Sortland last night.
Yeah.
And Yarda, I want to say Johansson. Right, but it could be Yarda Johnson. I don't know. I just call him Yarda. Amazing vocalist, amazing voice, and a great band. And we just had a good time.
Now, what was the dynamic of the band? Are we talking bass, guitar, keyboard, drums, or was it a bigger ensemble?
Yeah, I'm talking piano, bass, guitar, saxophone, percussions.
Okay.
drummer, the saxophone he's a percussionist, so he had all these little dinglings and different sounds. Oh, it was just incredible. And the groove was on, and the audience was separated, seat between them.
Did you feel comfortable? Because I would imagine, or I got the impression anyway, that you had limited rehearsal time with the whole group.
Yeah.
But how'd it go?
We have done the concert. We've done the concert before a couple of months ago. So
okay.
It was the same concert.
So it wasn't new material. You guys were used to performing together, and.
Well, we had just performed this exact same concert 2 months ago. I mean, I was prepared to come in on Saturday, just 3 hours before the concert, and just sing from my spirit and just feel it. I didn't even take any lyrics this time. That's how comfortable I was with the songs, and
I couldn't do that.
It was a little scary, I must admit. But at this point, I just had to just say, let the spirit have its way.
Do you get nervous up on stage, or do you just are you routine? Are you so routined that you don't get butterflies?
No, I'm not. It's not that I'm routine. It's just that it took a few years for me to understand that the easiest thing to do is just go out on stage and be myself and put out love and send it out to the people, and they send it back up to me, and then we create this circle of love, and then it's just on. And I found that talking, and you can hear that I can talk, and some people think I'm funny, and I have tried my hand at an unofficial stand-up, but I'd like to try an actual gig. Only I don't want to take any bits with me. I just want to get on stage and look at the people, feel the energy, and maybe just tell them some stories and just see what comes out. But I know you've had the experience. Well,
I was going to say that laid back approach to stand up, there's a benefit in that. I have found out that when I have done my best as a stand up, it's when I have actually not worried about sticking to my material. Now, there's a time to do that, because my goal, everything has been kind of jumbled and restructured now because of COVID. But my goal was that by December this year, this coming December, I would be able to film a 1 hour solo special. But because of COVID and having to take a step back because of that, I also had, when I lost my son, that really shook things up. So I haven't had the opportunity to work in my material, but in a way that has been very freeing, because the few times I have gotten on stage since, in this past year, mostly because of COVID, when I do get up and I don't have solid material, I have so much fun because I can just wing it and I can play off the crowd, and somebody will give me a look that allows me to. Yeah.
You deal with what's in the room.
Yes. Although I've been to some shows where there's only been 2 or 3 people in the room, and then that's not very conducive to creativity.
But I see that you're very technical. If you wanted to put on a 1 hour show of just yourself, you could do that, and to get the crowd, just pipe in some buttons that say behind your jokes.
Well, first of all, thank you for being fooled into thinking I'm technical, because I'm not. First of all, let's start with that. I am not technical, but I got some offers to get in on a live stream thing and just live stream a stand-up routine here from home. I can't. I need that. I need that feedback. I've got to have that. So it's just not. No, I couldn't do that.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because last night at the concert, if I may, it was dark, and the old England would have preferred that the audience be dark so I don't see them.
Okay.
Because that was the England that we used to have to wet palms and go out and be nervous. But I love to be able to see the faces.
Okay. Me too.
Because then I know what I'm doing. Is it touching? Is it reaching? And it just helps.
Yes, absolutely.
If I feel, But the Norwegians, I love them, but you never know where you have them.
Can I tell you?
Wait, hold your thought. They can be sitting there and just looking at you with the plain face. Then I have to go look at their feet and see, is the foot tapping? And then they'll come afterwards and say, "Oh, that was just beautiful." And I'm like, "I wish you had let me know that with your face."
You are telling the exact same observation that I had. This is going way back to 2004. Now, before I even came to Norway, I had heard about this very famous club, this nightclub, music club in Oslo called Smuge. Have you heard of it? People like Eric. It was a place where famous, like Eric Clapton, Prince, Madonna, different bands also, when they would go on tour and they would play in Oslo or maybe in Bergen or maybe over in Sweden, they would come to Smuge and have like an after show. So I was like, oh man, that would be, so this was before I even knew anything about moving to Norway. I always thought that's so cool that these American famous musicians go and play at this place. So fast forward to 2004, I'm here in Norway. I have a band together, performing original material and stuff. And my wife, Snoopy, is such a tough little. She ain't but yay big, but she's tough. Yeah. She worked it to where I got a gig with my band at Smuge. So I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Okay. It was real exciting. There's another band. I cannot remember their name, but it was a very famous female trio of vocalists. They were going to perform after me, so I met them backstage and coordinated my sound check with theirs. It was just a cool experience. At that point, it was my biggest experience in Norway, musically. So we get up there, and the lights are on. It's a beautiful venue. And we play the first song, and it was like a upbeat, funky rocker. And they were all just, my listeners can't see me, but you can see me. They're all just standing there like this. Arms crossed, kind of lean back to the side. And I'm like, okay, they just have to warm up a little. Next song, even more funky. I mean, this was in the funk genre. Thumping bass line. I cannot sing it. I can't sing that song standing still. I have to move. Yeah. So we get to this breakdown in the song, and I say on the mic, y'all can dance if you want to. Crickets. They just stood there. So that was the whole show. We played for about 45 minutes, a full set. And I was so... I don't want to say it bothered me. I mean, it bothered me momentarily, but I just said, forget it. I'm just going to enjoy the moment. And I did. I had a lot of fun. Yeah. Prancing around on the stage, being that vocalist and front figure and all that.
And they loved it.
Well, I got off stage, and my plan, I'm not that sociable. Hello, actually. I'm not that sociable. So my plan was, when I'm done, I'll shake hands with the band, and then leave within 10 minutes. Do you know it was like 3 hours before I was able to get out of there because they practically mobbed me with their compliments, their comments, their feedback. Norwegians are just different. You don't know what they feel during a performance.
They're very conservative.
Very.
Yeah. But when it comes to music, you tapped on so many things that I had to make notes. First, let me go backwards.
I talk too much.
No, you don't. I forget stuff in the middle of the sentence. Let me go back. Randy Crawford had a Norwegian band.
Oh, yes, she did.
When someone told me that, and I thought, oh my goodness, and how lucky am I to have an amazing band. I call them EBO, which stands for England Brooks Orchestra. I've got Magne Arnesen on piano, Jon Kåre Hansen on guitar, Roger Johansson on drums, and Dag Erik Pedersen on bass. And they just lift me. It's another story for another time, but when I found out that I was pretty much in the footsteps of the trailblazer herself, Randy Crawford, I thought, how blessed am I to be able to have a Norwegian band that plays jazz so beautifully. And then the other thing I wanted to say, you're talking about your highlight of where you played at Smuge. My dream was to play at Herr Nielsen. And I got the opportunity with EBO to do Herr Nielsen on My Mother's Eyes tour release. And then the other thing I wanted to say is the Old England used to after a concert, go out into the crowd and talk to everybody.
Uh-huh.
But the more I sang and the more gigs that came my way, and trying to be better of a performer because of this amazing band that's been gifted to me, I would give more. I give so much on stage that now I go backstage when it's over, and I have to sit. I don't even want to talk to the reporter if there's one.
Because you've given everything already.
I'm giving so much now, and I plan on giving more, but radio shows coming up, so I'm fixing to like switch reel a little bit. You know,
you got
singing
that.
is great, yeah, but I want to have a radio show that highlights other people and what's happening, and bring an hour into people's homes or cars that they just enjoy and can't wait for every Tuesday night.
And you want the music to be kind of old school. It may be music that Norwegians, for the most part, haven't heard before, right?
Haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
But the first show it's going to be party music that I love from now, back then, whatever. It's my birthday.
There you go.
The 21st of November.
21st of November. It's your birthday, and it is your radio. Yes. It's your radio show comeback premiere.
Yeah.
Because you've had a radio.
I like comeback.
You've had a radio show before, right? And now you're coming back to something that you love. I have to say this. It was circumstance. It wasn't a thought out process. It was circumstance that led me down a path that led to this podcast. It just kind of happened. It was not planned. I was not even really familiar with the medium beyond.
Maybe, let me stop you for a second. Maybe it was planned. You just didn't know the plan.
Amen. Thank you. There you go.
Because there are no mistakes.
There are no mistakes. What was I going to say? Yeah. So here I am in this podcast world, and almost right away, I'm talking like maybe after not even 10 episodes in. I think this is episode 81 or 2, but not even 10 episodes in. Yeah, 80, 81, 82 episodes since February. Middle of February was my first episode. But around 10 episodes in, I'm like, this is great. How can I have even more fun? And you know what I thought? I thought about radio. Yeah. But I never thought that there would be that there could be a viable path to a radio show here in Norway in English. Now, back to the language thing. I'm fluent in my Norwegian. If people don't look at me, if I'm just on the phone, they think I'm a Norwegian. So I can converse, but I have found that when I do things like this, anything that has to do with any kind of art, whether it's podcasts, music, stand-up, I do that in English because I want to express myself in as pure a form as possible. So here you are now doing this radio show. Now I'm going to be squeezing you for information. Okay. How did you let's go back to your previous radio show. How did you get that? How'd you get that gig?
I have a friend that went to the manager of, I'm just going to say, Radio 3, FM 104.9 here in Bodø. A friend of mine went to the manager at the time, and the manager at the time was Arlen Ersnes, was a great stand-up comedian, yes, and personal friend. I'm bragging now. And told him, I think England would be good on the radio. And he said, I think you're right. And so, for a birthday present in 2013, I had a concert here at Pavillionen. It's no longer Pavillionen, but it was a place called Pavillionen where artists, the musicians in Bodø would meet up and have concerts. And I was lucky enough to have a birthday concert there, where I was gifted this by a friend, another friend who is a DJ here, Chris Shepard. And he said, this gift is coming from you from someone who can't be here, but here it is. And I opened it up, and it said, A Grooving Hour with England Brooks, Radio 3, FM 104. I didn't have words. So that's how I got the first one. But I didn't really play with the knob. I just selected the music, and then, it was worked with the engineer from Radio 3.
Okay, so you had an engineer and a producer that you were working close with. So you were basically just not just, but you were the face, the voice. You were the okay. So that was probably a good position to be in, where you could just focus on the entertainment aspect of it. You didn't have to worry about the technical production side.
No, but I really want to do the technical. I want to work the buttons.
Do you?
And so this time.
Progress, growth.
It's going to be FM up to Tucson, FM 90.9 on your radio dial, child. And I'm going to eventually learn. I'm going to learn the buttons myself.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
Are you just going to on the job? You just kind of learn on the job, and the people who are there are going to kind of guide you, or?
I'm fixing to work. I'm fixing to try to become 100% a radio personality. And my mission is I'm bringing over some of my concepts. I have a segment of the hour called Milk and Cookies.
Uh-huh.
And I invite guests to come have milk and cookies with me. Now, if we're really having milk and cookies, you only have to be a guest to find out.
I like milk and cookies.
And I want to do a shout out. I want to call somebody I'm going to call you and say, we're going to call John right now. Hey, John, what's up? We're on the air. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I want to do shout outs. I want to highlight the musicians and just people in general.
I love it.
That are here in Bodø. But if someone comes into town, like let's say, for instance, D-Sound.
Okay, yeah.
They were coming into Bodø to do a concert. And before, for whatever reasons that I didn't continue, it wasn't an ugly stop or anything. It just was timed up at Radio 3. They were coming to Bodø, and I could grab them and say, hey, can you come and have milk and cookies with me if you have time? And just talk to them. I've had Oni Williamson, Jan Gunnar Huff, so many people that I just want to share. Like you have your podcast, and you have. You thought I would be interesting. I don't know. I think thought I'd be interesting, and I want to do the same. I want to, shine a light on people that I think people will find interesting.
Well, here's how interesting I think you are. Just so my listeners know, we were supposed to have this episode yesterday, and we could have done it, but you were in a hotel, so there was a little bit of bad Wi-Fi. But it was also, in between rehearsal and your show. So I was very aware of a potential time constraint. So my whole thing was, let's do it tomorrow or, today, so that we don't have any time. We have all the time we want. I don't want to say
all the time in the world.
Don't want to say we're only going to talk for a half hour, only for 45 minutes. I'm not saying it's going to be a 4-hour long podcast about Taoism, but just that we have more time, because you do. I can very, very easily see in you or hear you being a successful radio personality, because number one, you have the personality. You know how to say things that grab. Okay, we've had phone conversations, so you could consider me your listener in a way, and what you have to say has grabbed my attention on the 3-4 times we've been on the phone. Every time we've been on the phone, it has basically been the essence of it should have been, just maybe a 2 or 3 minute long conversation to plan this. But what have we done? Every time we've talked for 15, 20, 25 minutes, half hour.
We're talking.
We could have had, if I could have pushed record on my phone, we could have had a podcast episode the other day.
My goodness. What people would have heard.
But I'm a talker as well, but you turned me into a genuinely interested listener. So I predict success for you and your radio show. I can feel it coming.
Oh, thank you.
That's from the heart. I think you're going to do well.
I believe everything that you do comes from your heart, and your listeners they don't know that we are looking at each other. And I'm looking at a beautiful brown-skinned, bald-headed man. And what you don't know, and all of my friends know, is I am a bald-head lover, and it's nothing sexual there is an energy involved, and not every man can do it.
That's true.
And not every man has that energy, and I believe you do.
Well, thank you.
And I can't wait to meet you, and hopefully you will allow me to just place my palm on the skull of your head.
Absolutely.
I don't even have words.
Absolutely, you can do that. That is not a problem. I'm just going to say this. When you find your way to within, let's say 200 kilometers of where I live, you and I have to meet. We have to see each other. There you go. Look at you.
You think I'm joking? Something about it, baby.
You need to snap a selfie picture of that. Because I need a photograph to promote this episode. So you should take a selfie picture of you doing that, and that'll be the promo photograph. Look at you.
I just needed you to know I'm not just talking shit.
No, okay. So an energy, and no, you can cuss. I told you one thing that I was interested in was radio, but also maybe trying to get this podcast into syndication. And a new friend of mine that I met through this podcast, Dr. Howell Wexler, lives up there in New York City. And he said I should look into, he says I have an NPR radio voice. So he said I should look into getting into NPR. So I had some thoughts on that, but then I started this Tiffy Tuesday. Hello, Miss Tiffany. And Tiffany cusses like, I was going to say like a drunken sailor, but that's not enough cussing. So Tiffany has taken away any chance of me getting on NPR because they've heard too much cussing on this podcast.
I think we're all capable.
No, but let's go back to this bald. Let's go back to this bald-headed thing. What is this? An energy? An energy from bald heads.
There is, and I can't explain it. I just feel it. It comes through my palm, and it's almost. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
But I get what you're saying though about the energy thing. I was just having a conversation with my wife about this the other day. There are people that I've met up through the years, and this is going back to my childhood, and I want to say it's probably always been women. No, not always. 9 out of 10 times it's been women. When I talk with them, when I converse and interact with them, they have this thing. They're radiating some kind of warm, good, pure kindness, and it's a tangible energy. This might sound crazy and metaphysical to people. I don't care. This is a thing, and it's not all women, and it's not, and it's some men that I've known, but it's not. I don't think it's not a gender thing. It's not a sexual thing. It's just some pure warmth. I call it the auntie feeling that they give me.
I like that.
Yeah, and
because my mother's sister, she had several sisters, but there's one sister that they were like, peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
And everyone called her auntie. Her name is Jimmy.
Well,
Jimmy Louise from Texarkana, Texas. But everybody, and my friend called her auntie.
But she probably had
certain kind of, that's that auntie feeling.
There you go. It's to me, it's a tangible energy, and it's those are the people that I'm attracted to. There's this old lady up where we have our other place up in Finnmark, up on Seiland. This old lady that lives on the island there. She's got to be in her middle 80s now. But I'll never forget the first time I met her back in 2002. I couldn't even understand Norwegian. This was just weeks after we had gotten here, and right away, that warm, good feel where you just want to go and sit next to them and just
be with them all day.
Yes. So I know what you're saying about that energy that you feel off of people sometimes. Not everybody, probably not all men with a bald head, but
no, it's not all men with a bald. First of all, some men should keep some hair on their head because they don't have the shape for it. Number one. But let me switch. You got the perfect shape.
Okay.
Now, you tell Snoopy I am not hitting on you.
No.
I just have an appreciation for bald heads.
If there's one thing, there's two things I don't like about Snoopy. Two things. One, she can't sing. That's the only. I wish she could sing. That she is the love of my life. That is, she is my everything, but she is not my vocalist. So it's missing.
Okay.
She can't sing, and she absolutely never gets jealous. I'm like, can't you get a little upset because somebody looked at me, or can't you just?
Bravo! I know what you're saying.
But in all seriousness,
they don't care.
But in all seriousness, though, I've seen a lot of couples. I've had friends who have a partner, and that jealousy thing has ruined it.
It can go too far.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm kind of halfway joking, but in all seriousness, I guess I'm glad she's not the jealous type.
That's right. And you know you're not going nowhere. That's a good love right there. But switch real.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get this in.
Sure.
This is my first ever podcast.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I wish I'd have known that, because I would have made up like some kind of special little jingle. Just a couple lines on the keyboard and sing a couple songs.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first ever podcast.
This is my virgin podcast.
Well, there we go. Congratulations. Yeah. I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad you're doing it here on my podcast.
I could not have planned this. I don't even. Oh yeah, it was Shirley.
It was Shirley. That beautiful. What is she? 85-year-old Irish lady living up there. And I ran into her online because I did that episode with Rick Kirkham.
Yes, Rick.
Yeah.
I haven't met him yet, but I know.
What a beautiful guy. What a beautiful guy. I'm so glad I met him. I did a great episode with him on the podcast as a guest. And Shirley heard that episode and said, you know what? There's another person up here who's just as interesting. You got to talk to England, she said.
Oh, she's so sweet. She's my biggest support.
And just from chatting with her online and seeing what she does, she has got to be one of the most giving people I have ever come across in Norway. That woman puts her life, she's like a saint.
Yeah. I can't even compare her to Mother Teresa. Shirley's in a league of her own, and God bless Mother Teresa. But Shirley is just the most amazing human being. She's doing things that other people wouldn't even dare try to do. And this little teeny woman is out there doing everything she can to those who need help.
Shirley is out there doing the work.
To help those who need help, yeah.
I'll be honest with you. She may hear this, but I'll be honest with you. I have wanted, almost from the get-go, just on the vibe I got from her, and then looking into her background, knowing what she does, I have wanted to have her as a guest on the podcast for so long, but I haven't asked her yet because I want to be in a position mentally and emotionally to where I can do that lady justice.
Yes, amen.
On this podcast, because she is a saint. She is a living saint among us.
Well, let me just say this, and Shirley, if you're listening, Shirley's a firecracker.
Yeah.
And while she's a saint, you better not mess with her.
I also got that impression.
And she has gone up against a lot of people who don't support her. To give you an example, what do you call them? We call them porcupine, hedgehog.
Hedgehog.
There's a lot of hedgehogs that come out during the season, and they end up in her yard or on the sidewalk. She takes these animals in. They need food. She gives them food, warmth. She holds them and puts them on a blanket or what have you. And she did that so often that when I was in the hospital I think I had a touch of pneumonia and a lung infection, and that was about 4 years ago. Shirley came to the hospital to see me with 2 little porcelain hedgehogs. And so we put them on the bed and took pictures, posted it up, and almost immediately someone came in and commented, she shouldn't be allowed to bring those into the hospital.
Oh. So
Shirley and I looked, I'm saying it, maybe they didn't mean it in that tone, but I'm pretty sure they did. And Shirley and I looked at each other and we just laughed. And I said, you know what, let's just leave that there for a while and just enjoy it, because these aren't even human, they're made out of clay. Right?
Yeah.
But that's just a tiny bit of some of the BS that she's run into.
Well, I tell you about that auntie feeling, that auntie vibe, she's got it.
Yeah. Oh,
she'll
love you to death. She'll love you to death.
Well, and like I said,
she doesn't care who you are. She's just a beautiful human being.
Well, like I said,
I feel so blessed to know her.
I can imagine. I tell you, I haven't asked her on because I need to be able to do it justice. And there is just to touch on this for a second. You know, there's a lot of negativity and ugliness on social media, but there's also a lot of beauty. How can I be so preoccupied by a person like Shirley? And I've never met her. I've never even heard her voice. We haven't even done an audio chat. It's just writing. Okay. But I love her to death.
Well, let me tell you something. You think I talk? you think you talk? Shirley can talk with one of the best of them.
And with that beautiful Irish accent, I can imagine.
Great personality. Yeah, she has a touch of it. But, you know, she moved here the year I was born.
Yeah.
Shirley moved to Bodø.
She's been here for a lifetime. Yes. Yeah.
She's been here for 64 years almost. Yeah. Yeah.
And you do not look almost 64 years old, not even close. You are a chocolate queen. You don't even look. No, you do not look 64 years old. You don't.
Go on now. You stop it. Stop it.
You can you feel it? Do you feel this? Do you feel this?
Yeah.
This is 100% admiration and respect. I'm telling you, people need to go on. They'll see how to spell your name. It's straightforward. It's England Brooks, and they need to go on Spotify. I'm assuming you're probably on iTunes and all that stuff, but they need to look you up.
I have no idea.
Okay, well, people need to find you and listen to your music. It is so relaxing, and I got a little emotional when I started listening to you today. I think I told you this on the phone the other day. I love living here, but I'm extremely homesick. And sometimes Sundays put me in a very reflective mood. And I always think about how when I was a kid growing up at home with Ma, and Sunday evening, we would tune in to this radio station that came out of Cleveland. Now, we live out in the sticks. We were far away from Cleveland, but the radio station was coming out of Cleveland, 93.1 WZAK, and they had their smooth jazz, Sunday jazz. And, you know, and I like, you know, my father would be, you know, working night shift or something. My brother and sister would sometimes be in bed, and it would just be me and Ma sitting there listening to
smooth jazz.
And then I hear you singing.
Oh Lord!
And it took me right back. So thank you for that.
It's gonna make me cry.
I want you to cry.
I'm a crybaby, I tell you. Thank you so much,
well,
John.
Thank you. I'm telling you, this is what my podcast is all about. I don't want to call it selfish, but I had a bit of self-interest in starting this podcast. I needed, and I don't want to call it a distraction, but I needed something else to focus on and to think on. And I do that best when I'm creating something. And I needed to do that. You know, I was very, it tore me up when my son passed. It was the 5th of November last year.
Wow.
And I'm still struggling with that. But again, sure. I needed something to get my creativity in gear. Yeah. To get myself away from that sorrow.
Sorrow. Amen.
And somehow, and obviously it was meant to be, but again, it was not planned that it would be my podcast. But that's what it was. And I said, I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to meet people who I'm interested in, people who I respect, people who make me curious, people who I think can help me to grow.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that I still think that growth process is going to put me in a position where I can it'll be easier for me to deal with that loss. Yeah. While also putting me hopefully in a better position of strength so that I'm available to help anybody who's been in a similar situation. So that is why I do my podcast. So within the scope of that, within that description of what my goal is, that's why I'm talking to you. There was something inspirational about you. My respect for Shirley, her telling me that you were somebody that I would enjoy having on, it fell into place, and here we are. So that's why you're here. That's why you're here. Well, you inspire me, and you give me a good feeling.
Oh, thank you. My brother, he passed away last year, and Rome had a voice that could have been a radio commentator, a poet. Oh my goodness, he actually should have been on the radio. But the lifestyle. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, so I just heard a boop in my ear, so I don't know if my battery's going low on the earplugs or not. But so every concert I dedicate to my mother, because this is where she wanted me to be. Actually, she wanted me to be a classical pianist, and I was on my way. But when she passed away, I just said, no more this piano stuff. And which is one of the biggest mistakes in my life. I should have continued, but I didn't. But I would think about my brother every time I hit the airway.
Okay, yeah.
And try to bring, hopefully his gift that he was created with will
manifest itself in you.
Yeah, through me, yeah. Because he just had what it took and it wasn't even an effort. So that's something to inspire. So I'm with you on the needing something to...
I'm very dependent on inspiration. I can motivate myself. I can find inspiration on my own, but I will admit I am also dependent on inspiration that comes from the outside.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's we need each other.
Sure.
We're supposed to help.
That's that humanity thing,
Yeah, it gets on.
Going back to that dialogue I was talking about that I thrive on. I thrive on dialogue.
Communication is key, even for a radio. The circuitry in a radio has to communicate properly in order for the sound to transmit.
That's right.
Ankle of death.
Your headphones running out? Is that what the problem is?
I think so, but I'm still hearing you, but I got a...
Okay, yeah, that's your battery. That's your battery. That's your battery about to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think I should just stick this in
Go
the
ahead,
phone
yeah.
now?
Try it, yeah. Stop talking dirty. See,
Oh, but wait. No, but wait. Okay, it says power off. I'm on Bluetooth, though. Hold on. Stay with me.
I'm here.
Stay with me.
I got you. Wow, actually, the sound is better now.
I'm good. I've already transferred, and can you hear me?
You know what? I can hear you much better. The sound is actually better now.
Get out of town.
So your microphone on your ear pods, because now
it's the microphone on the phone still.
Yeah, but before that, it was the microphone through your ear pods, wasn't it?
No, the ear pods were just audio, just ear, no mic.
Then I wonder then if the Bluetooth is somehow degrading your sound, because you sound much better now.
Okay, so you mean we've been talking for over an hour and I haven't sounded good? Oh.
No, of course, the ultimate, of course, as you know, with your radio stuff, the ultimate is, with a microphone, this here is this microphone was made for radio that I'm talking into. But
I'm looking at it.
And so, his big old stupid.
And that's why I called you technical. I said, look at him with all that equipment and that good mic.
Well, let me tell you this though. I have good equipment for my podcast, and I have okay equipment for my music. You've heard my the sound quality is fine, and I do everything myself, all the production.
Beautiful song.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Now, don't think I wasn't harmonizing to it now.
Now that I'd like to hear. See, I hear a duet coming.
Okay.
But I'm not very technical. In other words, I have the equipment I need to get the job done. But if any piece of this equipment were to go bad, and if I were to have to replace it, I'm lost. My podcast will probably disappear for a month while I try to get things back up. So,
I'm sure you have a connection. Somebody would come and help.
Absolutely. It's good to have friends. It's good to have friends.
Amen. Like my mother used to say, it's good to have friends in high and low places.
You know what? That's true. It keeps you grounded.
Yeah, you never know when you have to call. Say, hey, this person hit me. All right.
I tell you, my wife, when I met her, I tell people I've tamed her. She was a wild beast.
Oh
before.
My goodness! Yeah.
She was a wild beast before. I tell her this all the time.
And she's just a little tiny thing, you say.
She's so tiny. She's probably this, most people, when they think of Scandinavian women, they think of these tall, a long leg. My wife is barely 5 foot tall. She's petite, but she's not fragile. She's quite muscular. She's not muscular in a brutish way, but she's a strong, lean but strong woman. So she's almost like a little shrew, like just this tiny little thing, and she exudes a strength that you would not expect to see from her. And I'm talking about in her personality, I'm talking physical, the whole thing. Yeah. She will surprise you with how tough she is. But I tease her all the time. I say, if I would have met you 5 years before I did meet you, I probably wouldn't have liked you.
Oh, my. I hope I get to meet her one day. She sounds very interesting.
She is extremely interesting. She's the most dynamic person I've ever met in my life. She amazes me to this day. I wrote a poem, actually, the other day. It's about her. I posted it on my Facebook, and it's also on my Twitter, because she has this duality in her personality. I'm not saying she's a schizophrenic or anything.
Yeah.
She's just a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's the problem. No, but she's a very dynamic person, because she will take me by the hand, literally, and take me outside and take me for a walk out in nature. And, I watch her picking flowers. She knows the name of all kind of roots and for medicinal things. And she has this hippie, this old school hippie nature type of thing. So she's
a good witch.
She's a good witch. So we did that the other day. And then we came home, and then she puts on a pair of coveralls, and she'll go and she's doing concrete work and putting all, tearing down our bathroom in our apartment we have across town, and putting it all up in the trailer and taking it to the junkyard and throwing all that stuff. And it's just, and we've been together for over 20 years. So I know this, but the other day it just really was present, that duality thing that she has. So I wrote a little poem about it. Everybody go on my Facebook or on my Twitter at John Allen Loyal Oak. JOHNALAN. No, I'm sorry, John Allen Pod. JOHNALANPOD. Go on my Twitter and look at that poem that I wrote. There's a picture of her tiny little hand holding some flowers that she picked that day, and it's also on my Facebook, which is at John Allen. John Allen Loyal Oak. I don't use my last name in my artist name. I just go by John Allen.
Okay, your Facebook, you say, because I'm a Facebooker. What did you say?
John Allen Loyal Oak, LOYLOAK, at John Allen Loyal Oak, and that'll take you to my artist page. Now, I do have my private Facebook page, which is up there as well. That's where you and I have been communicating. But my artist page is at John Allen Loyal Oak. So if people go there, they'll see the poem I wrote, which was inspired by my dynamic day with my lovely wife, Snoopy.
Okay, let me ask you this: what is Loyal Oak? Where'd that come from? Are you a loyal oak tree?
I'm from a little town in Ohio, way out in the middle of nowhere, called Norton, Ohio. When I was growing up, it was just a village. Now it has city status, but it was a village back then. And there was this area called Loyal Oak. There was Loyal Oak Lake, Loyal Oak Park. There was an elementary school called Loyal Oak, and I always thought, we moved there in the summer before third grade, so I was 7-8 years old, and almost right away I always thought that would be a cool name for a band.
Okay.
So when I came here to Norway and I got my band together, what was the band's name? Loyal Oak.
Well, it sounds like you're loyal to the name.
I love it.
I'm just crazy myself.
But that goes way back to my childhood. That's where that came from.
Yeah. All right.
Now, I used to write a lot of poetry. That's the first poem I've written in literally decades. I'm a lyricist. I write a lot of lyrics for other bands and artists, but poetry, that's the first poem I've written in, probably 25 years, I would say. Probably.
Well, speaking of lyrics, I thought I was a songwriter, but
did you write a song? Yeah, but you wrote a song.
So you're a songwriter. Okay. A songwriter with a writer's block. How about that?
Well, that happens.
But I was approached by a young man named Tom Hansen, and he sent me some music, and he said he's a friend of my pianist, Magnus Arneson, and he said, I've heard your voice, and I'd like to send you some music and ask you to maybe write some lyrics. So long story short, I have done that, and I'm going into the studio soon to put it down properly, and I'm so excited about it. He's excited about it. I had a cold. I was catching, not a cold, but when the weather starts to change and you get a little dry, and you feel like a cold's coming, and it was early in the morning, and I hadn't warmed up, which I usually never do, and I'm not studio girl. I'm live girl.
Okay.
I get in the studio and I start feeling a little, I don't know, that didn't come out right. If it's live, it's what it is.
I see.
And to make a long story short, which is almost impossible for me, because I go around the corner to get across the street. Bottom line, I'm excited. And this started stirring up a little writing in me. I think the song is going to be called "We'll Never Know."
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to say about it.
I'm waiting for that one. I'm waiting for it.
He has gone on Facebook and talked about Earth, Wind, and Fire Feel and Patty Austin. And Patty Austin is one of the women that I grew up listening to. Oh,
yeah, me too.
And I thought, oh, my God, you put my name in the same sentence as Patty Austin. Are you out of your mind? But all that did is make me want to rise up to the occasion and the utfordring.
Absolutely. The challenge.
It's a challenge. It gets on. And I'm getting older, and there are less years ahead of me than are behind me. And so I'm ready to try whatever and just live the best life that I have left to live.
If we go back to one of the first questions I asked you on this podcast, I asked you if you're looking at things differently now since you've come to Norway. You didn't feel a sense of freedom that you were able to possibly recreate yourself now since you're here?
Well,
or explore some new things maybe since you came here.
Well, that's a good question, because I have to say, when I came here, singing was not in the plan at all.
No.
But I had the opportunity. There was a music store in town. I work for a music store now, Intune Music. I have to plug Intune Music, City North shopping mall. If you don't mind.
Intune Music, ladies and gentlemen, in Bodø.
Yes, but before that, I did some Arbeids praxis at a friend's music store, GP Music, run by Jorunn Pedersen. And when I moved here shortly, I went to that music store and I bought myself a tambourine. And then I guess maybe he had heard me sing somewhere, and he said, can you come to my studio and help me with my English?
Okay.
And he didn't know that I love harmony, but he said maybe you could do some harmony, and that was all I needed to hear. Harmony, I'm in. I never saw myself as a front person.
Really?
Never. I could hide behind a curtain and sing and be happy.
Okay.
But I believe that I was created to give something. I don't hit the stage to be seen, because I'm no Halle Berry, but I don't have to be seen.
Right.
But in order to give everything that you see what's coming from my eyes, my heart, my mouth, everything, what I say, how I move, what I do, it's just to give something. Let me just say, talking too much, but let me say this. I did a concert once, and afterwards, I went out to the crowd like I always did. Hello, thank you for coming. Did you enjoy yourself? A man walked up to me and said, I was at home very depressed. And something told me to just go and listen to this music. And he said, I feel so good after listening to you. And that's enough reason to keep me doing it.
Isn't that enough? Absolutely.
If I didn't have to pay rent, I would sing for free.
Amen. Amen.
I would perform for free because now I don't call it jazz. I call it stand-up jazz.
Stand-up jazz, yeah.
Because I'm not serious on stage. I mean, unless it's a serious song. You want serious, you go to the opera.
Right.
You want to sit quietly with your hands in your lap and all straight up dignified and clap, 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 bravo, bravo.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Otherwise, I want you to, we're going to have some fun.
Well, you're like me. It sounds like you have to let we have to let our personality come through.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to be up there smiling from ear to ear. I'm going to be up there, and in between the songs, I want to say what I want to say. And it may not have anything to do with the music. I might just want to talk about something with the crowd. And
you know what? I'm so glad you said something that hit me. I never even finished my sentence. And so...
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, it's not you. You didn't interrupt me. I get sidetracked. But I just want to get this out. And so after I went to the studio with Jordan Pedersen, we did a song together, and someone from Bodø Big Band heard it. And I remember the first time I heard Bodø Big Band, I thought, Bodø has a big band? Oh, gotta go. And I went, and I was just in awe. I said, oh my goodness, what would it be like to sing it with a big band? I've seen Lawrence. Yeah. Remember Lawrence Welk?
Absolutely, yeah.
And Duke Ellington, oh my goodness, the big bands. And I thought, and then I was asked by Tina Lund, who plays in Budapest. She even said something about, I can hear that you can sing in your voice or something. We need, and she didn't want to say it, but she wanted to say a black voice. Yeah. And I just said, say it, go on and say it. She said, we'd like to try a black, the sound that you have. And I'm like, I'm ready. So when it comes to, did I find things differently here? Yes. Would I have made it this far as a musical person in Los Angeles? No, because that industry is so big, and you need to be really phenomenal, or they need to see something where they can make money off of you.
Yeah. Yes.
And mold you to what they want, and then. So no, I didn't think about it when I was in America. I came to Little Buddha and sang at a confirmation.
Yeah.
Amazing Grace at a confirmation. And one thing led to another.
That's interesting.
And I don't consider myself an artist.
You don't?
No.
So what would you call it?
I don't have I just...
England Brooks is...
An entertainer.
But
that's even hard for me to say. But if I'm real with myself and will get over being, I'm quite shy, though it doesn't seem like it. My confidence level is, I guess it's okay. I just do what I do. And some like it. And that's when I came here, I said, I'm going to sing. Some people will like it and some won't.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation musically where you had no confidence, but you did it anyway?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
I think it was my first television appearance, my real Distorted Korslag, TV2. Jørgen Nording, Jutski, and Jan Stegen. They were Jutski, and they came to Bodø and auditioned to have a team from northern Norway / Bodø to represent in Distorted Korslag. And they asked, the first song out was not a competing song. It was just a representation song.
What year was this?
It's about 2009 or 10.
Okay.
And you can go on YouTube and you can see this song. They said the unveiling of the first song was we met in Nulani. down in here in Bodø. And so they speak in Norwegian. I don't understand anything but tusen takk, jeg elsker deg,
You poor thing.
unnskyld.
You poor thing.
And so they're just talking, and the cameras are there, and I'm just smiling, and I don't know what. And then he said something about, and subject, blah, 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 blah. England Brooks. And they start clapping. I'm like, what just happened?
What did they say?
And they said the first song is going to be Bob Marley's Get Up, Stand Up. And the singers that we've chosen to do the soloist, now I can say what they said now, is England Brooks. And they were like, oh, I was like, what is going on? And Ingrid Hawkland, an amazing singer, used to live here in Bodø. She lives in Tromsø now. And I thought, what's going on? And then when I found out what it was, I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. I never sung reggae. And oh my goodness, it's Bob Marley. And what happened is my mind said, if they think you can do it, then you need to step up to it.
There you go.
And then I thought, and I said, oh, and Ingrid, she's an amazing singer. They put me with her. And I thought, if they think you can do it, then you do it for the team.
Isn't it okay to have a lack of confidence in something if you know that those around you think you can do it? You may not see it, but if you trust those around you, you will set foot in that unfamiliar water.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. That happened to me.
And then I went home and started trying to make, how am I going to sing this? And, because we had playback to learn. And how do I do this? I look forward to you listening to it, John, because I don't normally talk about this.
How do I
you
find
just
that
go to YouTube and look for Get Up, Stand Up, and Yutski Distorsko. It should pop right up. Get Up, Stand Up.
And then what's the name of the
Team Yutski.
Team Yutski.
Yutski. Yeo-de-de-s-ko-e. And I did that in Norwegian.
That was very good. You're not
Thank you so much.
so bad in Norwegian.
I'm getting there.
I'm gonna get you fluent with me.
Yeah,
then we can go back to the States and talk about people, and they won't know what we're saying.
I don't plan on going back to the States if I don't have to.
You know what? Like I said, I'm extremely homesick, but with the COVID-19 situation, I have no desire.
They have it so much worse than we do living here in Norway. And I thank God every day that I live here.
We are pretty fortunate at the moment. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's coming. It may come to us. We never know. We just have to be careful.
Yeah. Let me ask you another music question.
Okay.
What is your best, most memorable musical situation, whether it was a performance or whether it was someone you got to meet or...
Too many. It's too many. I can't even.
Give me two.
I got to sing with Yngve Numer.
Really?
I met Patty Austin in Silda Jazz in Hurgerson, and actually got to sit down at the bench with her and her band and talk shit. And I say it because it was like, it was sister girlfriend for real.
How old is she now?
I think maybe she's 2 years older than me, maybe.
That's it? I thought she'd be, okay. I thought she would be older, a lot older.
I don't know. Maybe she is. We'd have to Google it.
I kind of put her up there.
How old is Patty Austin?
Barry Austin is 52 years old.
You misunderstood me. Hey, Google. How old is Patty Austin?
Patty Austin is 70 years old.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, my.
I put her up there around the same age as my mother. My mother's 73. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She does this song called Ability to Swing, and I just absolutely love it.
Now that's a singing woman. I love Patty Austin.
And that the James Ingram duet, How Do You Stop the World from Rain from Falling? That is one of my all-time greatest stuff. And so when it comes to answering your question,
my auntie, let me just put this in. My auntie went to high school with James Ingram in Akron, Ohio.
Well, listen to this. My hairdresser used to be his first cousin. His first cousin's my hairdresser. Is named Snacky in L.A.
I'm just gonna sit back and be quiet then, because I thought I was gonna tell you something you didn't know.
It just shows that we might be soul sister brotherness.
There might be something there. There might be something.
Yeah,
there. Absolutely.
Because I see a lot of myself in you.
Likewise.
Your personality, and you do music, and you very mellow. Well, that was just one song, but I'm sure you can bring the funk when you want to.
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about that song. Actually, about the 4 songs, the 4 singles, and the whole album that I was going to come with. As you see, I talk a lot with my hands. I move around when I talk, but I'm not moving my left arm too much because my shoulder. I've had 8 operations in my shoulder since 2016. Which has really, I talked about COVID getting in the way of my music. I talked about my son's death, but this shoulder also has really gotten in the way of my music and my stand-up. And it's so bad that the way it is now, I can't sit and play keyboard or play guitar or bass for long, 15 minutes and I'm done, because putting my arm in that position, it's killing me. Yeah. But I wanted to put music out. So I figured, how can I do this? I figured, okay, I'll do it solo. So that way I can take my time, which I'm forced to do anyway, because I don't have that endurance in this shoulder to play for very long periods. And it's hard to, to play, as you know, an electric guitar and especially a bass is heavy. So it's a little bit more physical than an acoustic guitar. So all of the songs that I've released so far for that project, there's 4 singles, all of them are acoustic.
Okay.
Laid back acoustic with a much more focus on the vocal. And I played around a lot with the choir. I'm doing all the voices. So I played around with the background singing. And
love the background singing.
Oh, thank you. That's So that's what those songs are. That's why it's laid back. But to address what you said, yes, I can get funky when the time comes. My music generally is like a melting together of blues, jazz, funk, and rock. But I also like acoustic stuff. I love James Taylor. I love.
Stop yourself. Stop yourself.
I love James Taylor. I love Neil Young. Okay.
You are the brother from another father and mother.
See, so there's that music is in me too. So when you hear Edge of It All that I sent you, now that you've heard it, now it probably comes together because there's that acousticness of Neil Young, James Taylor. Background singing that's straight out of the church. That's where I got that from. That's where I got that from. And then the melodic thing that I tried to do, I don't know where that came from, but that's just me. But you hear it's a melting together of all those styles. So that's what I do. But that's why that song is so laid back, because that's the mood I was in physically and mentally at the time. Laid back, acoustic, simple. It's a very low production. I think I have on that song, I have 2 acoustic guitars, 2 acoustic guitars and a percussion. That's it for instruments.
Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful song and a beautiful message.
Thank you.
And my mind is going now. You asked me about musical experiences. Of course, I already named Bing Crosby.
Yeah, that's amazing.
These other 2, I hope I'm not sliding anybody. I'm sure there's, you just asked for a couple, but I'm sure there's a handful that I can't even think about at this moment. Yeah. But I'm just,
Well, you have
blessed.
I was just going to say, you have a very blessed life. I can see it.
I feel it. I feel I've been blessed many times over.
You're happy, aren't you?
All things considered, yeah. I am. Yeah. I don't want to be single is kind of, it had its moments.
How long have you been single now?
I've been single for about 6 years, 7 years maybe. and time flies. I didn't realize it.
There's got to be a lot of positive to that, though, right?
It is. It's going to bed the way you want, when you want, waking up the way you want, not having to worry about, do I have sleep under my eyes? Is there drool? Not having to say, honey, do you mind if I go? Oh, no. No, I go when I want. If I want to eat at 4 a.m., if I want to get in my car and drive somewhere at 2 in the morning, I can do whatever I want.
Do you date, though?
But it would be great to find somebody. No, not yet. But it would be great to find someone who could deal with my weirdness, that I could deal with their weirdness, and we go on.
I tell you, it's not easy, and I'm not saying because you're exceptionally weird. I'm just talking people in general.
It's true.
No, but in all seriousness, I think that it is, if you're going to do it right, if you're going to date someone that gives you and allows you to give them, and it's a harmonic thing. Yeah. I do believe that is a difficult match to make for everybody.
Well, I've been single for a while. I haven't found him yet.
If you have
or her for that matter, not that I'm going that way, but I'm just saying I haven't found my partner yet.
And if you want to do it right, if you have standards, if you have your own guidelines that you set, people can find themselves being single for quite a while.
Yep, and that's okay.
If I wasn't with Snoopy, if I had to be out there dating, I would not have a clue how to do that. How do you do that? I don't know. I don't know how to date. I don't know. I don't know how to find someone. I don't know how to be found. Looking at it.
Thank God you don't need to be found. You've been blessed.
I have.
You've been truly blessed.
I want you to meet Snoopy. I think you guys would get along.
I hope so.
She's a little crazy, and no, I shouldn't say that. She's not crazy.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And ain't nothing wrong with that. She's crazy cool. That's what she is. Cool. She's crazy cool.
She's crazy cool, but she can't sing. She used to sing lullabies. She used to sing lullabies to our kids, and I'm not kidding either. This would be funny if I was making it up, but I'm not making it up. It's true. The kids used to tell, "Oh, Mama, come on, can't you stop?" Because her singing was so bad. The kids, when they were little, would be like, "Stop, Mama."
Okay, so she tries to sing.
She tries to sing a lot.
Okay. But she supports your singing.
You know what? Not only does she support my singing, not only does she inspire my writing process very often, by things that she says or does, and I'll write about it. She pushes me. She knows me. She knows the medicine I need. She knew after I lost my son, she knew that I needed to stay focused on creating. Yeah. Whether it was my stand-up, whether it was my music, or whether it was writing for others. And she encourages me to take time to do that. And that is special right there.
You can't ask for more.
I have friends. I have musician friends. I have entertainer friends, stand-ups and whatnot. And they have a spouse or a girlfriend who resents their work because it takes time.
I know that feeling. Yes.
But Snoopy gives me, she puts me in the situation to where I can cultivate that side of myself. I'm lucky. I'm lucky.
You're more than lucky, but we won't go into that right now.
I'm blessed.
Yes, you are.
Let's say that.
Yes, you are.
I tease that woman constantly, but she does a lot for me. She really does. You guys are gonna meet. You guys are gonna meet. I think you're gonna like her. But if you come within 200 kilometers of where I live, you're not allowed to not come visit.
Okay.
We're just gonna have to make it happen.
And you know where Bodø is.
Absolutely. I could talk to you forever, but it is almost 10 minutes after 6 p.m.
Okay.
This brother has to eat. It's time to eat.
And this sister needs to eat.
What you having this evening? What you having this evening?
I'm not sure. I think I might have some fish and some hummus fries, as they call it. French fries,
yeah.
Because it is, and I think I might even have a little practice I have to deal with.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm doing a private gig tomorrow.
Oh, a private gig, okay.
Yeah. In Holloman, a nice little restaurant here in Bodø.
Okay.
So I don't think I'm a surprise, so it shouldn't be a problem. I don't know who will be listening on my end, my friends, but I will. If you're going, I will make sure that people know what's going on.
You put the word out there, and I'll help you spread it. I will.
Yeah.
You have a friend here. You have a support here. I'm gonna do everything I can to help you promote your show, your radio show. There's a lot of Americans in Norway who are listening to this episode. There's a lot of Norwegians in Norway who are listening to this episode. So I want them to know, and I will make sure I put it when I post this episode, that your radio show is coming. 90.9 FM 90.9. Yeah. I'm sorry. And what is the name of the show? What's it going to be?
It's called A Gooveng Hour with England Brooks. And Gooveng is spelled Groove, as in England, NG. Gooveng.
Got it. A Gooveng evening.
Gooveng Hour.
Gooveng Hour.
Yeah, it's going to be an hour show.
Well, I'm going to make sure that gets in the description of this episode. I will help spread the word. You deserve all success.
Oh, thank you so much, John. I appreciate the time and your energy.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
And your baldness.
My bald. Hey, you can pet my head when we meet.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to take a screenshot of your bald head.
Hey, everybody. I have a beautiful head. I have a beautiful head, everybody.
Yeah, you do. You do. You really do. And a beautiful personality. I appreciate you taking the time.
Likewise. Thank you so much for this, England.
You're so, so welcome. Know that you are loved, honey.
Thank you. Likewise. Okay, everybody. England Brooks. Bye, everybody. Thank you,